And I'm spraying the table first so that my cloth will not slide around. And there's no glue on the cloth, just on the table, but if you do it right away, it'll still be a little tacky. It'll keep it from moving around when you spray the glue on it. Sorry about that green effect. It was totally by accident when I was filming. And I'm trying to put the glue really just where I need it. Excessive glue on the back, it gets kind of gummy when resin hits it. And the same thing on the frame. I'm just getting it on the edges where it needs to stick down on the front. And then on the back edges where I wrap it around, I'll put more glue on there. Again, with that green effect, I have no idea why that was on the camera.
The act resistors I gave you on Friday. Where at? Which top shelf? Oh, the big top shelf. Okay. Thanks, sir.
That's me clearing my throat. Sounds kind of weird at fast speed like that, doesn't it? So I'm using my thumbnail to give it a little bit of an edge on that front, and I'll show you more of that later and explain why I did it. I'm gluing down the edge of the cloth with the CA, and the reason I'm doing that is the resin will actually dissolve it and make it lift up. Now on this side you can see how I used my thumb and I stuck it down with the green glue first, the spray adhesive, and then used the CA to hold it down. But when this is done, that's actually going to be filled in with putty, and the only reason I did it is so that I get a nice transition between that on that edge. But from this side, you can see this is actually looking in from the windshield side here, how I have that edge a lot bigger, and I'm even going to make it bigger, and I'm going to go down all the way until it's totally flat here, because I want that line to show. Now I'm going to CA that the same way, but that edge you're going to see. That'll just be puttied in a little bit to kind of blend it in, but you'll really see that edge. That's part of the design. So basically the surface will come like this, round in that corner and come up to a sharp edge and then taper off. This will be filled in, if you can imagine, kind of filled in like this all the way down, but this end will be, like I say, exposed as a drop off. But they definitely need CA because the resin will just dissolve that spray adhesive. A little bit of activator, and now I'm going to go ahead and CA the pods, and they are stuck on this edge right now just with spray adhesive, so I have to do the same thing. I have to use the CA so that it doesn't lift off when I brush the whole thing with resin. when you have to use this CA on any area that actually has an undercut. Right here, if this surface was continuing on, say, it would still need CA here because it goes down, and lift off since it doesn't hit. No, I didn't wrap it down in. I could have wrapped it down in, but the vinyl is going to do that, and I need a sandable surface in here because obviously I want it slightly rounded before I put my vinyl on. I don't want that to be a sharp edge because it could cut the vinyl over time. Okay, and when I put the CA on, I was kind of generous with the CA on that edge because that cloth is now actually sandable. If you don't put the CA on every bit of it, when you go to sand it, the threads will come out and just basically messy and hard to work with. Now I can go ahead and put my polyester resin on the front of the cloth. On a piece like this, I'll do 2, maybe 3 coats, and try to get each coat fairly thin. I want to saturate all the cloth, but I don't want it, excessively going through on the other side. It'll just make a mess and make it harder to fiberglass. And of course, it's a waste of materials. Now, once the front is cured, I can go ahead and work on the back. I'm first putting on the polyester resin and then the chopped fiberglass strands, and dabbing them into place. And sometimes you have to add, or often you have to add a little bit of extra resin, and it can get kind of sticky to work with. You can see it's sticking to the brush a little bit, and the key is really to use no more resin than you need to wet out all of the fibers and separate the fibers, because each fiber is actually made up of hundreds of really small strands that are actually glued together before they make the rope, which then I chop up. And that's how I get the strands, chopped strands. By heating it up, it not only speeds up the cure, but it helps to get any bubbles out of the that are in the resin. And they can take away from the strength of the piece. And once it's all cured, I can go ahead and start puttying the front. First, just coarsely puttying and sanding, and then sanding, puttying and sanding again, and usually 2 or 3 times, and a piece has its shape, at least good enough for vinyl. This is actually after the first layer of putty. You can see there are still a few spots here and there that have holes, and then more putty and more sanding. And this is the first test fit of the 2 side pieces.
Get on my car, man. Look at that fancy new camcorder that.
Oh yeah.
Watch shot in HD. Watch in HD.
Look,
HD
you're
isn't.
trying to leave these people are calling.
I don't know how well you can see this here, but this is why I do one panel and finish it and then do the next one. This panel was mated to this panel after this one was done, and you saw how I braced it, and still, even with the bracing, you have warpage. You're always going to have warpage. So the way to combat that is to totally finish a piece, vinyl and everything, match it up the best you can when you make it, brace it as best you can, and then afterwards adjust it. And that's, I left room, and that's on this piece, that's what I'm doing. My plan is to have this piece go up over this piece, but in this case I actually had to cut this because it was too high in the corner, and rather than messing with just the corner, I'll just readjust the whole piece and fiberglass it on the back and putty it on the front. It's not a big deal. Puttied in and made it to this piece. And I'm going to do the same thing over on this side over here. And this side's a lot easier. Because it didn't have as much warpage because the shape's a lot different. And this piece is a lot bigger, and I had to deal with the steering wheel and the steering column. And that's where I'm at. I'm taking video of you eating pomegranate. Are those good?
Hey, I just cleaned my car. Get out.
I've been sitting here eating them for the last 20 minutes.
You know, it's weird they're in a Red Bull.
Why is it weird?
Because they're red.
So?
Because they're red?
What? I didn't know how to coordinate my fruits.
Okay. By the way, thanks for getting in the way while I'm trying to take video. I appreciate that.
That's what I'm here for.
Did you move your big fat knee bun?
Your knee bone's connected to your...
Wiener bun.
No. Hip bone.
Your hippie bun.
Hip bone's connected to your butt bone. Your butt bone's connected to your backbone. That's what Alex doesn't have.
Whoa.